Hey, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to focus on a sketch by Kristlyn Matei from a couple years ago. And I'm excited about this one, but I'll have a little bit of trepidation. It's not the easiest. So if you've not got a lot of experience, just watch the video first and then try it. I still want you to try it. This is a fun one, and it doesn't require a lot of extra punching or anything like that, but it does require precision in cutting and placement. So if you have a steady hand, or if you are patient enough with yourself to place a paper and pick it up and move it and place it again and pick it up and move it, this is the video for you. I think I said at the end of putting these two pages together that these two pages are not for the faint of heart. And it's not because of anything other than the fact that you just have to be really careful. So I hope you like it. I hope it's fun for you. I hope you take on the challenge and you're interested in trying it, because it does turn out, I think, really neat. And thanks, Kristlyn. This was a fun one. It's a fun one to figure out. And if you want to see or be able to print out the original directions, just check the description of the video and I'll have a link there to Kristlyn's directions on the blog. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's check out my workspace and get started. All right, so here's my workspace for today. And you might recognize this as the right-hand side of the last layout that we did. And we're going to continue this with another layout that kind of just shows more of the entry area of the castle. This is just before. Now the layouts that come next are going to be actually climbing up to where the Blarney stone is. So I know it's taken us a while to get there because I have just a ton of pictures, but that I'm trying to get into this album. But this is exciting. I'm excited. Okay, so if you have the Argyle template, this layout is based on the Argyle template. So if you want to use that, be my guest. Not everyone has the Argyle template though, so I'm going to be working without the template today. But this is a layout that was created in June of 2023, and Kristlyn Matei created this, and she did a fantastic job as usual. But she definitely used the template. That's what's in the instructions, and that's what you see here in the right here at the very top of the tools list that she used. So I will have a link to this in the description of the video if you want to go find it and follow her instructions. But just know that her instructions are to use the template, so she's not going to give you measurements for all these little pieces that are in here. Okay, because she used the template. Makes it easy. I'm going to show you how to do it with measurements. So so hopefully that will be helpful to those of you who don't have the template. Okay, so just setting this aside for a second. Also know that this is a single page layout. I'm going to be doing a double page spread, so we're going to do some special things on the right side of the page. So I have my pictures already cropped for the photos that are going to go on both sides of this. We're going to add some more of the ovals that talk about the different places in the castle to the right hand side, and just put some fun, or we might put it on the left, I don't know. It'll be interchangeable where you could put the right on the left or the left on the right. So we'll see how how it looks and what we like when we're done. Okay, so just going to set those photos aside for a second. I have 2 pieces of deep sea green cardstock. These are not going to be base sheets. These are going to be mats for photos. So please just know that I'm not using a whole sheet of cardstock as a base. I'm actually going to just build this right directly on my page as the backdrop. She used a piece of black cardstock as her base, and black cardstock does look fantastic because it definitely outlines all of these colors really, really well. And maybe I'm going wrong by not using a color for my base. I don't know. It just to me adds a lot of weight. So do we not? Well, maybe we should, only because we definitely want to see these lines in between, and my pages are going to be lighter, so that probably would be a really good idea. So hang on just a second. Let me do that. Okay, I think I'm going to use this. This is Albatross. It's a gray that we came out with a couple years ago in 2022. It's fairly lightweight, so it's not as heavy as this cardstock is. And I really like that because this page is going to already have a lot of paper on it, so I don't want to weigh it down with a lot more. So this should be fine. Okay, so we're going to use this dark gray, and yeah, I think that's going to be really nice. All right, so let me stick this underneath here. Actually, I'm going to put it up here until we have a few pieces cut. I'm going to remove my pages. We'll use the pages to adhere the sheets to once we're done. So those are also going to go up there, be moved to higher ground, as it were. All right, so let's start by cutting some mats. So I noticed as I was really looking at this picture, this photo of the layout that Kristlyn did, and I am the last one to be like super persnickety picky, but I was noticing that her squares that she did with the template, which are fantastic, are slightly larger, like just ever so slightly larger than the squares that mat the photos. And it was bugging me. I really had to study this for a while before I figured out that that was what it was that was not sitting right with me. And so I adjusted the measurement just slightly, and I'm hoping that it's going to work. I adjusted her measurements, so sorry, Kristlyn. But I just wanted to see if it might make my photos, the photo squares and the squares that we're building with the pieces, work a little bit better. So I'm going to make these mats, and you're going to think I'm crazy for being this persnickety, but she had said to cut them at 3 5/8 square. I'm going 1 notch farther than that to what is technically 3 11/16. But basically what you're going to do is measure on your trimmer to 3 5/8, which is 3 and then 2 notches more. That's going to be 3 5/8, and then go even 1 more notch. It's the smallest notch on the measuring ruler, and that's where I want you to cut. And we're going to do a strip, and we're going to cut another strip. So 3 1/2, 1, 2, 3 notches beyond 3 1/2 is where we're cutting. Try to make it straight. Okay. All right, then we're going to come back here and we're going to cut squares. So 3.5, 1, 2, 3 more notches, making sure it's straight. There's 2. We need 5. So we're going to go 3.5, 1, 2, 3, making sure it's straight. And then I'm just going to do one more, so not both, but just one, setting one of those aside. We're going to go 3.5, 1, 2, 3 more notches, making sure it's straight, and then cut. Alright, so there are the 5 mats for the photos. Okay. Now I'm going to do one additional thing, and that is I'm going to take this piece right here and I'm going to cut, let's see, I decided I didn't want to do what we did the other day and cut all these into ovals, so I cut them all the same size. I cut them all into 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So I need 4 by 5.5 mats for those photos. So let's see, we can do 4, 4, and then 5.5 is to the very edge of the trimmer, remember? So there's 5.5. Here's another 5.5. I'm going to grab that other piece I have lurking over here on the side, and we're going to cut 2 more at 4 inches. This is one of this deep sea green or dark sea green cardstock is one of those colored papers where, depending on how the light hits it, it can look more green or more blue. It's kind of an interesting shade of paper to my eyes. Okay, so 5.5. So there's 2 more, that makes 4. And then we're going to just set one of these to the side and cut 1 more at 5.5, and we'll have our 5, because I have 5 of these longer photos that are going to go on the other page. Alright, so there are the mats we're going to need. I'm going to set those over here with the photos. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this kind of neutral tone-on-tone paper. This paper came from the Ireland theme pack that came out early in 2024. Also, this plaid came from there. The shamrock paper came from the National Scrapbook Day 2021 pack. And so, but I just love those shamrocks. Clovers and shamrocks. So we're going to take this paper and we're going to cut this at, drumroll, 1 1/4. Okay, so we're gonna, measuring on the right hand side of my cutting blade, we're gonna cut a couple strips that are 1 1/4. Actually, let's see how many we can get out of one strip. We need 8 of them. So I think we'll probably need another strip, but just in case, we'll just do one at a time. 1, 2, these are squares in case I didn't say that. 3, 4, 5. I think maybe we might be okay with 1 strip. 6. Yeah, we're going to be okay. 7 and 8. So all you needed was one strip, cut it 1 1/4 by 12, and you've got plenty of those size squares. Okay, just take what's left of that and toss it to the side. Now we need 2 squares that are 1 5/8. So we're going to go to 1 5/8. That's go to 1 1/2 on your grid line right here. And then using your ruler, go 2 more marks out, and that's 1 5/8. All right, don't go all the way to the edge or all the way to the next line, or you'll be in the wrong place. All right, so now we need 2 squares that are 1 5/8 square. So there's 1. And here's the second one. 2. And then the last square that's on here is the really big one in the middle. And I'm not sure exactly how big that one needs to be. So I'm going to cut one that's the same size as my photos or as my mats. Same size as my mats. We're going to see if that's going to work. So 3 1/2, then go 1 2 3 more marks out. Okay, and we're going to cut a strip. Then we're going to turn it into a square. 3 1/2 and 1 2 3. Oh, that doesn't bug you, but it helps me, so it helps me remember where I need to cut. All right. Now we're going to take this and we're going to turn it into a square, which is why I'm saying it might be too long. It's definitely going to be too long because I need it to be. This is where math comes in, and guys, I'm just not good at math. I need this, the distance between these 2 points needs to be the 3 11/16. So we're going to do a little trial and error, okay? So I'm just going to hold this on here and see if I can guess. We need 1 2 3 1/2 plus a little bit. So that's looking like it's going to be 1 1/2 inches in. Let's use a ruler, shall we? Okay, so we need to line it up over here. So 1 2 3 1/2 and 3 marks is going to leave us with 1 inch, and I'm going to have to put a mark on there. Guys, my eyes are just okay. 1 2 3 1/2 and 1 2 3 1/2 and 3 marks is going to be right there. So that's where I want my corner to be. Okay, so give me a second and I'll give you a final measurement so you know, even if I didn't, what size square to build here. Okay, I'm just going to scooch this over just a tiny bit. So my arrow in here is going to point directly at that mark. Then we'll know. All right, I'm going to say 2 5/8 square. Actually, it's looking like it's the mark before that. So let's do not 2 5/8, but 2 5/8, and then one more. No. Darn it. Sorry, guys. 2.5, and then one more mark, and then you're good. So 2.5, and then go out one more mark. Okay. And then that piece is going to measure, let's see, where's the 1 inch mark? There's the 1 inch mark. 1, and that piece is going to measure 1, 2, 3.5, and 3/16. Okay. Done. Okay, then we're going to cut it into 2 triangles. Then we're going to cut these two, the ones that were 1 5/8. These are going to get cut into triangles. So we only cut that one big square once. Don't cut it twice. Just cut it once into a big triangle. These two we're going to cut into smaller triangles, okay, like that. Then you're going to take all 8 of these smaller ones, and they need to be cut into triangles. So I'm just going to sort of grab them in bunches and then lay them on my cutting line so that I can hold on to them the best I can. Now, the secret to this is just to go slow, because if you try to cut these fast, you will end up with your blade moving, just like there. Mine moved, and now I have like a little bit of a wedge on that corner. So take it slow, maybe just do 2 at a time. Maybe that's the key, because I had 3 in that stack and it didn't seem to want to cut exactly where I wanted it to cut. That was better. So 2 at a time. Just line up those corners right on your cutting line. And this one's going to be a piece of cake because he's the last one. Well, the last one for now. Okay. So after we get all of these cut, then we're going to, yeah, I got excited and he shifted on me. Dadgummit. All right. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut just a few more so that I have them for the other side. And that is not the right one. That's not 1 1/4. Oh, these were the pieces we cut off of the other. I'm okay. All right, so 1 1/4, here's the 1 1/4. So I'm gonna just come in here and cut this one into a square so that we can utilize that. And this one I'm going to also cut into a triangle, and these are going to be for the second side that we're doing. This one I'm going to cut and make it 1 1/4 so that I can cut more triangles from this. do 1 1/4, and then I'm going to just cut a bunch. One, two, because I'm not really sure how many we'll need. I'm thinking we'll probably need 12. So we've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not big enough. All right. And I need a few more, so let's cut some more. 1 1/4. Eight, right? 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, I think we just need 12. I guess we will see when we get there. And I'm going to wait and cut those in a little bit. Okay, then we're going to come back in here with our other papers, and we're going to cut a few more. So I have one of each pattern in each of these 2 squares. So we need at least 2, and then the other page is going to have 3. So we need 5 of each square. And each square is going to be measuring the same as the smaller squares we just cut. So 1 1/4 square. And we need 5 of each one. So I'm using the front and back of each of these papers. So 1 1/4, and we're going to cut 5 of these, just stacking those 2 strips together so that I can get twice as much out of that effort. 1 1/4 and 1 1/4. One 1/4, so that makes 5, and then we're starting a new pile. So we need 2 more. That's 3. My stack slid, sorry. 4 and 5. Okay, and I have the equivalent of, looks like about 6 inches. A little over 6 inches, 6.5 almost inches left. So you do need, how many inches was this? 9.5. So you need probably 2 strips, 2 12-inch strips, and then you'll have just some extra. That's the best way to, or easiest way to do it. All right, so we're done with that paper. We're going to get the plaid paper out here, and go ahead and do 1 1/4 and 1 1/4. And then we're going to stack these together. Because I have this area on this end, I want to use that for my plaid side. So I'm not using that on the green side. So This is what takes the longest, I think, is cutting all the little pieces. Ooh, that's not gonna be cool. All right, let's set that over there. I'm gonna flip to the other end so that I can use this pattern instead of getting some of the island in my cut. Okay, so there's two. I guess I'll flip it over just so that it's obvious that that's what I'm doing. We're cutting this green pattern. I just need one more for 5. Right? Yeah. Okay, so now we have just about all of our pieces, but we need one more strip of our shamrock paper. Now, when I was deciding which papers I was going to use where, I decided to use the shamrock paper in place of this gold paper right here, mostly because I really like it. And I didn't want to have to worry about what direction things were going. Sometimes when you have patterns with lines like the plaid, or even this one with the Celtic knot pattern in it, you want to be able to keep that pattern consistently going the same direction in a layout. But this one, because it's so not directional, I just thought it would be fine to go ahead and use it for the gold so that I didn't have to worry about it. All right, so I want to cut this so that it is the same as the squares that we cut here, and these squares were 1 5/8. So I'm going to move this and cut it at 1 5/8 inch wide, and then we're gonna see if that works. I think it's gonna work, but we're gonna need to come back and cut. Well, actually, we could probably just cut. Get the first cut going now, and then we'll be able to measure exactly how long we want it to be. So I'm lining this up on the 45-degree angle line on my trimmer, putting the upper corner on the cutting line, and then cutting straight down so that I have a 45-degree angle on that. And then this triangle we'll just save for another day. Okay, and then we're going to come back. We're going to cut this into 4 more pieces. So we may need another strip actually, because I think these pieces are going to be roughly 2 inches long, but don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. That's why I'm saying you're going to have to wait and see what that ends up being, because I haven't actually done this layout before. I'm kind of figuring it out as we go. Okay, so there are our 2 strips to start those with when we get that far. Okay, let's do some assembling, because that's the fun part. So I'm going to grab one of my base sheets, and I'm going to grab my photos and my multi-purpose tool, because they're sticking to the ground or to my desktop. Okay, then I'm going to grab the mats for the photos. I'm going to take just a second here and I'm going to mat all my photos. All right. So now that we have all of our photos mounted, let's figure out what conglomeration we're going to put them in, right? Okay, so we've got Emily as kind of a central figure in those 3 pictures. We got my mom in these 3 pictures, and we've got my sister. So maybe my sister and I will be in the middle. And these guys can be on the fringe, in the corners. How's that? Okay, so I'm just sort of visually lining this up, but let me give you an idea measurement-wise where that is, where the edges are going to go. Where did my ruler go? There it is. Okay, so this is one mark shy of a ½ inch, which is 7/16 from the edge. Okay, so do your best. It doesn't have to be exact, you know. I'm not that exacting of a person, but I feel like with a layout like this, you need to be fairly precise. So I'm actually going to use my ruler and try and line this up the best that I can. And that needs to move over just a little. Because if I can be consistent with getting these photos put on here, then that will help me in the long run. All my other pieces will line up. Okay, well that's fine from that edge, but I don't think it's fine from this edge. Nope, it needs to be higher. Now I've moved it. Okay, that's good there. The first one really I think is the most complex, because you can line up everything else after you get the first one placed. So here we go. It's crooked. Okay, there's that one. So those of you who were following along with my 12 days of Christmas may have seen the Christmas sweater that I made, this Christmas sweater layout that I made. And that uses the same template, the Argyle template. I don't know why. I guess you could say that I've been in an Argyle mood, but not really. I picked these a long time ago. And then I separately picked the Christmas layouts that I was going to do. And yeah, it just sort of worked. So I apologize if you don't like Argyle stuff. Hopefully you'll bear with me and not just go, we're not going to watch her anymore because we don't like that. I think that's right. Let's check. Did these line up? They do. Yay. Did these line up? Yes, they do. Yay. Okay. So then this one we should be able to place right in the middle, corner to corner. Corner to corner, almost, just about. Pretty close. That's pretty close. All right, we're gonna go with it. Okay, so now we've got that. Now we're gonna come in with our small triangles. These are the 1 1/4 squares. Okay, we're going to use our repositionable adhesive and go corner to corner and a tiny bit there. All right. Okay, sorry, I sort of stepped away there for a minute, and coming back, I just wanted to show you. I did it wrong the first time, so that's why all these pieces are sitting here and they look a little warped, because I I assembled it in the wrong square. So I fixed it, and through the magic of editing I probably didn't even need to tell you that. But now, one thing I wanted to go back and do, because I started assembling this square just to make sure it was right before I explained it, and you should have gotten some corrected measurements on this piece. It should be cut at 1 1/4 inches wide, and then the 45-degree angle is cut into it. But what I want you to do before you cut the 45-degree angle, I want you to put your pieces like sides together. So turn it like this and then cut it, because you need 2 that are cut with the angle going this way and 2 that are cut with the angle going this way. Does that make sense? So that you can have the V like this. Okay, so these 2 I cut from the piece that we started with. I cut the right angle with the shamrocks up. Okay, now we're going to flip this piece over, and I'm going to cut that angle again so that I get the angle that I need for this side. Okay, so I'm cutting it with the right side down, and I'm going to put that top corner on my cutting line. I'm going to cut. This is just an extra piece. Toss it over there. Okay, then you're going to proceed to push this all the way to the 1 3/4 line up there, which is the very last line before you go off the trimmer, the last grid line right here on the edge. Okay, you're going to cut 2 that are that way so that your V will go correctly. Okay, so here we go. Here's our second one, and this one's going to go down here. So some repositionable adhesive on the points, and I'm just lining it up right in between these other 2 triangles. And Kristlyn has a break in between hers as well, so that works. works pretty well. Just like that. It's not exactly center, so that's going to bug me, but it's pretty close. Okay. This is one of those layouts where I'm learning, you just have to accept the fact that things are not going to be perfectly aligned. Guess that's just the way it goes. Okay, I'm going to take these two and I'm going to flip them over because they need to be pointing up like so. And before I put those down, I'm going to go ahead and add the biggest one that we had. And I almost made a really big faux pas there because I grabbed my permanent adhesive. But you put your adhesive on the back of the biggest triangle and then you center it, lift it up just a little ways from that center square and go ahead and put that down. Okay? Then you're going to take the next biggest square that you cut into triangles, grab your repositionable adhesive. If you've been doing this a while, then I'm sure you have picked up your repositionable adhesive or thought you were picking up your repositionable adhesive and then realized that you had your permanent adhesive pretty quick like. It happens every now and then. So then you put these going flat with the top edge of the photos with an opening right here in the middle. Okay, and then these two pieces are going to fit right into those slots. Just line it up on the side. Do your best to keep it even. Okay, and then same thing here. Do your best to keep things even. Alright, so there are our top and bottom pieces. Now we're going to assemble these pieces along the side edge. And these pieces are going to go again just slightly in from the matted photo. The diagonal or the long edge, not the pointed edge, but the other edge goes along the photo. Okay. Point to point is fine. Or if you can leave a little bit in between, that is good. If you can't, then do a point to point. That's fine. Okay. And you're going to go all the way around, leaving a little bit of a gap, but try to keep this line straight. You'll be happy if you do. Almost done. All right. Now you can see that some of my lines between my triangles got a little narrow, but that's okay. That's not the critical part. The more critical part is going to be when we put these guys on, making sure that they fit. All right, that one works that way. Okay, you're going to be so grateful for your repositionable adhesive on this layout. Let me just tell you. Okay, now we're going to do this other one over here on this side. And I may just go ahead and assemble page 2 on my own and show you. Because if you can do this page, you'll be able to do page 2. No problemo. Okay, so there is our completed page without embellishments. And let me just really quick talk about embellishments, because it recommends that we use, Kristlyn recommends that we use some white cardstock. So she recommends that you just take some white cardstock and cut it at about 1/2 inch, and then cut it into a few different lengths, but then use that as your journaling. Which I don't do this very often, but I really do like it when I do journaling this way. I think it works really well, and I find the best thing to do is to cut your 1/2 inch strip, write your journaling, and kind of leave an extra gap where you think you might want to cut it. That way you can go back and trim it where you want to trim it and then put it on here, rather than placing your strips on here and then journaling to make it work. I feel like that works better for me. I don't know if that would work better for you, but it might. Okay, I'm going to work on that second page and then show it to you, and then we'll add some embellishments real quick and be done. All right, so here is the finished second page, and you, depending on how much gets edited or left in, I measured the same width that I used here, and put 2 pencil lines across my base page, and that is what I started with, and I went all the way around as far as I could with the outer triangles first, and then just sort of pieced it together from there. Yes, I have a lot of what I did covered with photos, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. All right, so then I would do the same thing on this page. I would just use some other white strips to do some journaling and either add that to here, By adding embellishments and journaling, you can cover a multitude of sins, so to speak. So if things are not lining up just the way you want, like I don't like that right there, so an embellishment may end up going there because nobody will know if I cover it up with an embellishment, right? Okay, so so then I would just come in with some more of our stickers and create some clusters to go in those spots. So let's see. I'm going to use this Remember All the Wonderful Parts. And yes, that green is not exactly the green that's involved here, although it's close to some of the shamrocks. So that's kind of why I wanted to make sure I had the shamrocks in there, so that if I decided to use an embellishment that was from a collection that is not represented here, it would still likely be picked up in the clusters or in the papers that I used. So let's see. Maybe we'll just use this little flag, a part of it. Remember all the wonderful parts. We'll just offset that with that. And you can see in the sample that Chrislyn did for us, she's got an embellishment here and an embellishment here, and then the journaling below, and that's really all it's needed. So since we've got a 2-page layout, I would say we probably need to add our journaling together somewhere, and then add our embellishments kind of to complement that. So I would say maybe this one would go here, kind of just to the left of center. And then I would add something else to that, maybe a little star. Remember all the wonderful parts. And then we can add in some more of these shamrocks, which are so cool. I just love them, so I always want to add the shamrocks and the clovers and make it pretty that way. So we can do a little bit of something with them. If my journaling is going to go here, and I think it probably will just because I have a little bit of a gap right here, so I could do several lines. I don't want to cover up that, but I could do several lines kind of going down that way. Maybe even add a couple on this side if I wanted to. So I think that's where the journaling is going to go. So with that in mind, I probably would add these maybe down here. Maybe like that. Slightly right of center. And I might add a little something else kind of over here just to keep the eye, you know, moving in that direction. So could say all the joy together and add in, what color do we need to have over there? Maybe the blue, the truer blue. All the joy together. Let me stick that together. Okay, and then this would go kind of somewhere in this neighborhood, I think. Okay. Well, this we have learned is not a layout for the faint of heart. If you're going to try this, and I recommend that you do try it, it is fun, but try it and don't have a time limit on yourself, because if you're in a rush, this is not the layout for you. All right, but I do like this one. I do think it goes together well, and I like the patterns that it creates. So kind of fun. I think if I were to do it again, I would try to line this up with this so that it created more of a consistent band that went across. But having 5 photos, it makes it kind of difficult to cut the page right in the center. So I don't know, but I think I would have, I don't know. It's an idea. If you have an even number of photos and not an odd number like I did over here, I would move this and put it even with this on this side, so it goes all the way across. Just, you know, post thoughts. All right, well, I hope this has been fun for you, and I hope that you've been able to glean some great tips from this video. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts. I always enjoy hearing from you. And until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your weekend.
That'll do.